They are at the door. You must hide the light now.
I won't let them take her.
There are some gifts that look like curses, and some secrets that the world was never supposed to find. In a quiet village in the heart of West Africa, a baby girl was born. And the moment her mother looked down at her, she did not cry tears of joy. She cried tears of fear. Because wrapped around that tiny head was hair that no human being had ever seen before. Pure gold, shining, living, glowing, as if the sun itself had decided to take up home inside a child's head. And in a land ruled by a king who took everything that glittered, that golden hair was not a blessing. It was a death sentence. Her name was Adaeze. In the Igbo language, that name means daughter of the king. Oh, the irony. Because from the very first night of her life, she was something that needed to be hidden from the very kind of man whose name she carried. Her mother, Ngozi, was a simple woman, a widow. She ground pepper at the market and sold palm oil to keep food on the table. No wealth, no connections, no power. But she had love. Deep, fierce, dangerous love for this child. And on the night Adaeze was born, when the midwife washed the baby clean, she whispered 6 words that would change everything. No one must ever know. Ngozi understood immediately. She had heard the stories. Everyone had. The boy in the northern village born with silver teeth. The king's men came for him before his first birthday. The woman whose voice could silence storms. She disappeared in the night and was never seen again. The king was greedy. Not greedy for food or land or the ordinary things that ordinary men want. He was greedy for power, for things that were different, things that felt divine, things that belonged to God but could be used by a king. And Ngozi knew with the cold certainty of a mother's instinct that if the king ever heard of Adaeze's hair, he would come. So that same night, before the cock could crow, before even the neighbors could begin to ask questions, she took a long, deep blue scarf and wrapped her daughter's head tight enough to hide every single strand. Then she looked into those tiny, bright eyes and she made a promise. I will protect you. No matter what it cost me, I will protect you. Adaeze grew up in the blue scarf. She wore it in the heat of the dry season, when the harmattan cracked lips and the sun sat heavy on every rooftop. She wore it in the rainy season, when water poured from the sky like the heavens were weeping and every other child ran barefoot through the mud with their hair plastered flat to their faces. She wore it to the market. She wore it to the stream. She wore it to the village square when the elders gathered and the drumming started and the children danced until their knees could carry them no more. Always the blue scarf. When she was 5, her mother sat her down and told her the truth. Not all of it, just enough. She did not fully understand, but she trusted her mother the way a bird trusts the wind, completely and without proof. As she grew older, her mother told her more about the king, about what the hair could mean, about why the world was not safe. And Adaeze made a promise, a real one, the kind that sits in your chest like a stone and does not move. I will never show anyone, Mama, I promise. But Adaeze was beautiful, not in the obvious way people notice a golden necklace and immediately want to touch it. The villagers noticed, not the hair, that was hidden, but the girl herself, the way she walked, the calm in her eyes, the way light seemed to follow her even on the most overcast days. And the more they noticed her, the more they wondered, what was under that scarf? Why did she never take it off? What was Ngozi's daughter hiding? The whispers started. Quietly, they always do. But whispers have a way of growing louder the longer they are ignored. She was 16 years old when it happened. A Thursday. The kind of ordinary Thursday that had absolutely no idea it was about to become the most important day of a young girl's life. Adaeze had gone to the stream to fetch water. She went alone, the way she often did. She liked the quiet of that path, the way the trees bent over the water, the way the birds sat on branches and sang without asking for anything in return. She did not notice the group behind her. 7 of them. Women and girls from the village, some her age, some older. They had whispered about the scarf for years. They had asked Adaeze about it 100 times, and 100 times she had smiled and said nothing, or said it was simply something her mother wanted. That Thursday, they had decided they were done asking. Adaeze crouched by the stream and dipped her pot into the current. She heard the footsteps too late. They were on her before she could rise. Hands grabbing at the scarf, her own hands flying up to stop them. Leave me alone. But there were 7 of them and 1 of her. Someone grabbed her wrist, someone pulled her arm back. And then, with one sharp, brutal tug, the blue scarf came off. The world stopped. That's the only way to describe it. Every bird in every tree went silent at the exact same moment. The stream seemed to slow, the wind died, and the 7 women and girls who had been so eager, so certain they were about to see something ordinary, they froze. Because what came tumbling down from Adaeze's head was not ordinary. It was gold. Not the dull yellow of a cheap ornament, not the flat color in a painting. Real gold. Living gold. Her hair fell to her waist in long, heavy waves. One woman made a sound, half gasp, half scream, and ran. Then another, then all of them, running and stumbling and falling over each other on the path back to the village, screaming things they could not even form into full words. Adaeze sat on the riverbank. The water flowed past her. Her blue scarf lay in the mud. And for the first time in 16 years, the afternoon sun touched her golden hair, and the whole stream blazed with light. She reached down, picked up the scarf, held it to her chest, and whispered, "Mama, forgive me." By sundown, the entire village knew. By nightfall, the surrounding villages had heard, and by the time the stars came out, those stars that had been in the sky long before any of this trouble began, the story had reached ears that should never have heard it, the king's ears. His name was Eze Obiefune, and he was not the kind of king who danced at festivals and shared palm wine with his people. He was the kind whose eyes moved like a hawk's, always scanning, always measuring, always looking for the next thing to claim. He sat in his palace that evening. His chief messenger knelt before him, forehead almost touching the ground. "My king," he said, voice barely steady, "there is a girl in the village of Ugwolu. A girl with golden hair, my king. Those who saw it say it is real, that it moved like it was alive, that it lit up the whole stream like the middle of the afternoon." The king was quiet for a long time, and then he smiled. That smile, the one his servants feared more than his anger. "Bring her to me," he said simply, "alive and unharmed." A pause. "The hair must be intact. I want to see it myself before I take it." They came at dawn, 10 of them, armed, moving through the village like they owned the ground beneath their feet. Ngozi had been awake all night, praying, bargaining with every spirit she had ever believed in. When she heard the knock, the kind that doesn't wait for an answer, She pressed Adaeze to her chest one last time. "Do not be afraid," she whispered fiercely. "Whatever happens, do not be afraid. God put that hair on your head. No man can take what God has given." The door came open. Adaeze did not cry. Not when they pulled her from her mother's arms. Not when they marched her through the village and every person she had ever known watched from their doorways with their eyes looking at the ground. Not even when the palace gates closed behind her and the sound of the village, the market noise, the children, the birds, disappeared as if it had never existed. She walked with her back straight, her golden hair free for the first time in 16 years, blazing in the morning sun. One guard reached out to touch it. Adaeze turned and looked at him. Just looked at him. Those eyes, still as deep water, certain as gravity. His hand dropped back to his side. He said nothing. The king was waiting in his throne room. A large man, heavy with the kind of wealth that comes from taking, gold around his neck, gold on his fingers, gold embroidered into his robes. When Adaeze walked in and the light caught her hair and the whole throne room bloomed gold from wall to wall, his eyes went wide. Then they went greedy. He circled her slowly, the way a man walks around something he has already decided belongs to him. "Beautiful," he murmured, "more beautiful than they told me." He lifted a single strand between two fingers. It was warm, warmer than anything should be. He let it go. Cut it. Just like that. 2 words. Cut it. His attendant stepped forward with a long blade, sharp and gleaming in the light of the throne room. Adaeze did not step back. She stood completely still, and she closed her eyes. The blade came down, and the moment cold metal touched the first strand of Adaeze's hair, the room erupted in light. Not fire, not heat, not hurt. Light. Pure white gold light pouring out from her hair like water breaking through a dam, filling every corner of the throne room, swallowing the ceiling. So bright that every single person in that palace threw their arms over their eyes. The attendant dropped the blade. It clattered on the stone floor. And then Adaeze's hair began to move on its own. Long golden strands rising into the air like living things waking up, like something that had been patient for 16 years had finally decided, enough. One strand reached out and curled around the fallen blade, gently, like picking up something dangerous so that no one else could be harmed by it. The blade dissolved, turned to light, gone, as if it had never existed. The king stumbled backward into his throne. He gripped the carved arms of it, his golden rings knocking against the wood. What is this? His voice, that voice that had commanded armies and silenced entire villages, cracked. And then the sound came from outside. A low hum, like the earth itself was clearing its throat. The ground beneath the palace shook. Once. Twice. The guards pressed flat against the walls. The attendants dropped to their knees. And Adaeze opened her eyes. As calm as a river on a windless morning, she found the king. And she spoke. "My mother told me," she said quietly, "that God placed this on my head and that no man can take what God has given." The light pulsed with every word. "You are a powerful king," she continued quietly, "but you have confused power with ownership. Not everything that shines belongs to you." The king opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Because at that moment, the rings on his fingers began to heat. He yanked at them. They would not move. He shook his hands. The heat grew. And then, one by one, each ring crumbled, turned to dust. drifted to the floor like ash after a fire. The heavy gold chain at his throat did the same. The gold thread woven into his robes unraveled and fell, strand by strand, until it was gone. In 30 seconds, the richest man in the region sat on his throne, in plain cloth, like any other man. Adaize's hair settled softly back around her shoulders. The light faded. The throne room was ordinary again. And Ezeobiefun, for the first time in his life, looked small. He stared at his empty hands, at the dust of his gold on the stone floor, and something moved across his face that no one in that palace had ever seen before. Shame. They released her. No ceremony, no explanation. A guard simply opened the gate and stepped aside. Adaize walked out into the morning air with her hair free, her back straight, and her mother's name in her heart. When she reached the village, Ngozi saw her from the far end of the road, and she ran, the way mothers run when they have feared the very worst and the best is walking back to them. They held each other in the road for a long, long time. No words, just the kind of silence that is completely full. The village gathered slowly around them. The same people who whispered about the scarf for years, the same women whose hands had torn it away at the stream. They stood back. They watched. And Adaize looked at them not with anger, not with revenge in her eyes. With the same stillness she showed a king on his throne. Because the truth, the real truth was this. The golden hair was never the danger. It was never something to fear or to hide or to be ashamed of. It was a gift. And like all true gifts, it only became dangerous when greed got near it. The king never sent for her again. They say he became a quieter man after that day, less hungry, less grasping. Some people in the kingdom said he had learned something in that throne room that all his gold had never been able to teach him. That not every power belongs to kings. Some of it lives quietly in the hearts of girls who are told to stay hidden, who are wrapped in blue scarves and told the world was not yet ready, and who walked into the palace of the most powerful man in the land and walked back out. Adaize wore her scarf sometimes after that, not out of fear, but because she chose to. Because the right to choose, that had always been the point. This is the story of Adaize, the girl with the golden hair. And this is the lesson she left behind. What God places on you, no man can remove. And what shines from within you cannot be cut away by any blade in any palace, in any land. If this story moved something in you today, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because some stories are meant to travel. And this one has only just begun. Thank you for watching.